What's going on, everybody? I'm Tank. This is another episode of Roadie Reactions.
Get with this.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Sabaton Saturday. This is the dedicated day of the week on this channel where I continue my personal adventure discovering the music of Sabaton while also learning a lot of cool history along the way. And in this week's episode, I left the song choice up to you guys, the YouTube community. I told you guys to give me your song suggestions, and whichever song had the most likes by the time I filmed this video, that's what I was going to do. It was a really close race. There were two songs that were within a few likes of each other, but you guys have spoken. And this week we're going to be checking out the Cliffs of Gallipoli. And I feel as though there's a timing thing with that, but I'll get to that in a minute. Now, I'm not even going to lie. I knew nothing about this. I was not taught about this in school. I've never heard of this battle, and I still really don't know a ton because before I check out these videos, I only do a little bit of background research just so I know kind of the base of what the song is going to be about. And then I save it for the lyrics of the song and the Sabaton history episodes, which there's 2 of for this one. And if you're interested in watching those, I will link those in the description below. But today we're going to be listening to The Cliffs of Gallipoli, and this song is about the Gallipoli campaign, and more specifically, something that took place on April 25th, 1915. The Allied forces landed in the Gallipoli Peninsula and tried to overtake the city that is now known as Istanbul in the Ottoman Empire during World War I. Now, on this specific date and on this offensive, the Allied campaign was pretty much doomed. They ended up losing 44,000 Allied troops, and over a quarter of those were Australian and New Zealand troops from ANZAC, which is the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. Now, getting back to the date and the significance. Every year on April 25th is ANZAC Day, a huge commemorative holiday in Australia and New Zealand, where they remember the soldiers that were lost from this specific battle. And it's also commemorated in Turkey and in the UK. So it's a pretty big deal, man. I'm really excited to check this out because like I said, I don't know much about it and I'm really eager to learn. That's the thing I love about these videos. I learn a lot. So as always, I'm gonna check out the lyric video first so I kind of get a grasp on what's being sung about and the context of everything. Then we're gonna check out a live video after that. So I will link both of those videos that I'm going to do in the description below. And today, I'm once again listening to Sabaton. And for the very first time, I'm hearing their song, The Cliffs of Gallipoli. Let's go. Oh, older Sabaton.
Voices from the other side, hear them calling. For with folks no friends are resting side by side. They will never leave our hearts or fade away, live forever. They were far too young to die, such away. How many wasted lives, how many dreams will fade away, broken promises. They won't be coming home. Old mothers, wipe your tears. Your sons will rest a million years. Found their peace at last as gold turned to friend and forget. And they knew they would die.
So far, my first take on the actual song is kind of interesting, because while it does maintain that stereotypical Sabaton sound, like, you can hear this and immediately know that it's Sabaton. They have that specific sound to them. There are different elements to it that kind of took me by surprise. I mean, that break with that piano in the verse, haven't heard anything like that really with Sabaton. That kind of took me by surprise. Even the lyrical phrasing is a little different than Joachim usually does on stuff. It's a different sounding song for me. If I'm being honest, I don't know how I feel about it musically yet. But let's keep going.
Hell is waiting where the ocean meets the sand, cliffs of burden, where the soldiers rushed into a certain death. At the shoreline, blood of heroes stains the land, lights a candle, one for each of them who fought and died in vain. There is no enemy, there is no victory, only boys who lost their lives in the sand. Young men were sacrificed, their names are carved in stone and kept alive. And forever we will honor the memory of them. And they knew they would die. Gallipoli left their letters in the sand. Such waste of life, Gallipoli. Dreams of freedom turn to dust.
So, lyrical context, I'm kind of getting the feeling without knowing the story. And the only thing that I did see that gave me some kind of context about how people felt about this campaign was that it said the Allied forces were doomed. So I'm just going to assume this was super controversial and people knew that this was a waste of time. I could be wrong, I'll look that up. But from what I'm getting from the lyrics, it seems like maybe a lot of the troops that were sent for this campaign were very young, extremely young. Because he's not referring to any of them as men, he's referring to them as boys. And I know during World War I, a lot of the troops were really young. So, yeah, the vibe I'm just getting from the lyrical context and what I can gather with the story going forward is that this was kind of tragic. I can't wait to actually hear the, watch rather, the Sabaton history episodes of this, because this seems like something that should be taught more, at least where I grew up. Like I said, I knew nothing of this. I've never heard of this until watching this. So, the song itself, I know it said it was from The Art of War, but the writing style for Sabaton seems a little older. I don't know if this was an older song that just finally made it onto a record later. It kind of has more of like that Primo Victoria era feel to it. But let's continue. I'm really excited to see a live performance of this, because I'm assuming they're still going to have a keyboard player in the band if it's an older performance. I'm going to find an older performance now because I want to see it with the keyboard player still in the band. Continue.
Freedom turn to dust.
Wow. Hold on. I want to This is a guess, but I'm guessing that's in Turkey. Those last couple lines, after having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well. Wow. That's pretty powerful, man. That gives me the vibe that looking back on this, they didn't necessarily look at them as enemies, but that the whole thing was just a waste of life. I'm going to have to look into that one. This is wild.
How many wasted lives? How many dreams that fade away? Broken promises, they won't be coming home. Oh, mothers, wipe your tears. Your sons will rest a million years. Found their peace at last. That's all. Turn to friend and forget. The news will die.
That ending had like a really progressive vibe to it, almost like Dream Theater-y. Wow, I'm a little taken aback right now because, like I said, that had the Sabaton sound, but there are musical elements of that I've never really heard from them before. Wow, let's go listen to a live version of this. So I'm a sucker for quality, and I did see that there's a music video for this. It's only in 240p on YouTube, so I wanted to try and find good live footage. A lot of the live footage I found was poor quality or cell phone footage, but I did find one that looks like it's going to be good quality. We're going to be checking out the Cliffs of Gallipoli at Sweden Rockfest in 2010. And if I remember right, the first time I saw Primo Victoria was a Sweden Rockfest performance, and they were on a side stage. So 5 years later, I imagine they're going to be on a main stage. So let's go.
The cliffs of from the bones of lips are resting side by side. They will never they will fall too young to die such a way. How many wasted lives, how many dreams they fade away. Broken promises, they won't be coming home. Oh, fathers, wipe your tears. Will last a million years. Found their peace at last. Let's go, touch your bread and forget. And they knew they would die. I heard it. See the sun. Such waste of life. Gallipoli. dust.
So it looks like they're blowing their entire gas budget for flames on one song. All the pyro that we're seeing so far is just gas-based flame units, propane, running hoses out on a stage to flame heads that are shooting off. I think if I'm not mistaken, we're seeing about 8 of them up there. Now, I did see some of the lines on the stage as well, and there's some other pyro setups. And I've seen that question asked a lot in the comments from people that ask, how do band members know where not to be when pyro is going off? You'll see on the stage, there's bright gaff tape that's laid down around the flame heads and around where the pyro canisters are. That's for the band members to know, like, do not cross that line or at some point you might get lit on fire. Definitely not on a side stage anymore at a festival. No tank setup or anything like that yet, but I do love their setup. In terms of the overall production, it's quite minimalistic, and what I mean by that is it's a pretty easy setup. Each one of those risers are just decks that have legs on them that are interlocked together, and then a ramp up, and then more decks behind it. Really easy setup, really easy to set up and take down, especially at festivals like this when you have to do quick changeovers. They could probably just break all those risers in half, roll it out with most of that gear on it. So, we'll talk gear in a little bit. Let's keep going.
Just waiting where the ocean meets the sun, cliffs of burden, where the soldiers thrust into a certain death. At the shoreline, blood of heroes stains the land. Light a candle for each of them who fought and died today. There is no enemy, there is no victory. Only boys who lost their lives in the sand. Young men were sacrificed, their names are carved in stone and kept alive. And forever we will honor the memory of them. They die on. Never left us innocent. Such waste of life, Gallipoli. Dreams of freedom turn to dust.
What I always find interesting about watching these older festival videos is that you get to really see the evolution of the band. So when I discovered Sabaton last year, everything I've seen of them pretty much so far is massive, huge headlining shows, headlining festivals, stuff like that. And obviously we see them a couple years later after this headlining Woodstock, Poland, now known as the Poland Rock Festival. But this is 2010. They're in their home country. They're a huge band in their home country, and they're still playing a daytime festival slot. It takes bands years to get to the levels that you see some of your favorite bands at now, and this is an interesting reminder of that. Gear-wise, we've got some of the old band members in the band that I haven't seen in videos in a little bit. Both Daniels back on the risers, playing drums and playing keyboards. Their drummer is not married to Floor Jansen because that's not honest. Sorry, I had to do that. He's playing a Tama drum kit, Zildjian cymbals, and then I'm not the best with keyboards. I don't know what model it is, but their keyboard player, Daniel, is playing a Roland. And I feel like this is a song for him that really gets to showcase his playing. Obviously, there's a lot of cool keyboard parts going on with the piano samples. Per, as always, even back then, playing the ESP F series. I mean, other than Primo Victoria from 2005, that's the only bass I've ever seen him with. And then we've got the old guitar players. We've got Rickard and we've got Oscar. God, I'm probably going to get them messed up, actually. I can't remember which one's which. I believe Oscar is stage right, so if you're looking at the stage, that's to your left. He's playing an Ibanez. It's an older Prestige S series. And the S series dead giveaway is that the input jack is on the body of the guitar and pickup layouts and stuff like that. And then on the other side of the stage, Rickard is playing a Ibanez Darkstone. Now, I don't see too many of those because they were only made for a few years. They started production in 2009. I think they were done by about 2013. And they only had 2 or 3 models. And the only difference in the models was the pickups that were in them. But you don't see them much. Again, they were only made for 4 years. I've never worked on one. I've never played one, so I can't really speak to how they feel and how they play. But I think I've seen him use that in other videos as well, so I assume he liked it. But yeah, let's just continue, man. I think there's nothing too crazy to break down on this one for the rest of it, so see where we go. I wonder if that's somebody from their crew or just somebody completely random.
How many wasted lives? How many dreams they fade away? But no one promises they won't be coming home. Oh, fathers, wipe your tears. The sons will rest a million years. Power, peace, and loss has full sense of breath. And for years, and the youth they would die high. Gallipoli. Let us in such waste of life, Gallipoli. Dreams of freedom turn to dread.
All right, let's go talk more about this one. I think we're done. Yeah, we're done. Let's go talk more about this one. This was an interesting song for me because lyrical context and story and how interested I am in learning more about this, 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. But musically, I think this might be in the bottom half of my favorite Sabaton songs I've heard. Maybe in the bottom quarter, honestly. I think it might be one of those that takes me a few listens to really get into. And I'm not sure if it's because there were some musical elements that kind of took me by surprise. Like things I really haven't heard Sabaton do that much. And that's not to say it's a bad song. I really enjoyed it. But in terms of the other Sabaton material that I've heard so far, I think I like this one a little less than a lot of the other ones I have. But that's okay, man. Not every band is going to be writing songs that every person thinks are incredible and over the top. But again, back to the lyrical context of this, man, I'm really, really excited to watch the Sabaton history on this. I think this is going to be a story that I'm going to find pretty fascinating. Might shed a few tears because you guys know how I am with stuff like this. But again, the thing I love about this band is that they make history very interesting, man. I've never been more interested in learning about battles in other countries and wars and other stuff like that than I've ever been. And it's because of Sabaton's music. And I'm very thankful to you guys for making me check out this band when you did, because I absolutely love it. So thank you guys once again. Thank you for voting on this song. And if this is your first time here, feel free to click subscribe. I release new videos all the time, so if you turn your alerts on, you'll be notified when new videos come out. If you liked this video, I would greatly appreciate the like, as it does help the channel out. But if you disliked it, no big deal, man. Thank you very much for watching. You are free to click dislike if you disliked it. I'm also on a ton of different social media. I have a Discord server I hang out on often. I have a Twitch where I stream video games and just sit and talk to you guys. And if you're interested in any of that, I will link that in the description below. My handle on everything social media related is @TankTheTech. Thank you so much once again for watching. I will be back very soon with another episode of Roadie Reactions.